on Catalina Island. We are here partnering with Catalina Backcountry, and we're going to be taking you along the Trans Catalina Trail. So we're doing a gear haul for this backpacking trip, which is something we've never done before. So we get to take a little extra because it's Steven's birthday weekend, and we're going to be showing you guys the experience.
The first 5 miles of the trail are very steep. You go up about 1,500 feet of elevation, so Lorena decided she thought that it would be better to give us a ride from the beginning where we got dropped off at the ferry in Avalon all the way up to the 5-mile marker. So that was super nice, and another reason to partner with Catalina Backcountry. It was already over 80 degrees, and to avoid the heat exhaustion, we just got a little bit of a head start.
We're off! Time to start day one!
The first day of hiking was about 10.8 miles in total from the trailhead to the Blackjack Campground, but since our ferry got there late and it was really, really hot, we actually opted to start at mile 5, which was honestly the best decision for our group.
So we averaged about a 2-mile-an-hour pace. So for the gear haul, you get 2 bags per person, up to 50 pounds. So we all carried our day packs, and then we put all of our heavier equipment in like duffel bags or like our backpacking backpacks, and it's really nice because they came with 6 camping chairs, so 1 for each of us, a cooler with ice, and then they're also gonna bring us firewood for the days that we can actually have campfires out here. Having the gear hauled, we've never done anything like this. We always carry our own gear. It was so nice because it was so hot today. You guys can do partial gear hauls, but you can also do the full TCT length, so it really depends on what you want. If you're gonna only do a partial one, I'd recommend doing the first day because that first mile or 2 is 1,500 feet of elevation gain. So it might be worth it to do the 10.8 miles from the trailhead to Blackjack Campground. That's gonna be your best bet if you wanna do a partial gear haul. All right, so we set up camp and the boys have found the tire swing. They are having a ball. This is Steven's 25th birthday, by the way, in case you were wondering.
We are out here for the first sunset of the trip. We just set up camp here at Blackjack.
It is beautiful. We walked about another half mile or so from the campsite up to see this little ocean overlook up here. It's right next to the airport, and we're probably gonna be hiking this again tomorrow morning, but Blackjack, you're kind of in the canyon, so if you wanna see sunset the first day you hike in, you're gonna have to go up a little bit.
As you can hear, we're right next to the airport, which is directly over here. Alright, it is day 2 of our day on the Trans Catalina. Yesterday it was super nice with the gear hauling service. We showed up and our bags were here. They set up, you have camp chairs here, so it's really nice. At Blackjack, you actually cannot have any campfires, so we just hung out, got an early night in, went to bed because the sun goes down here right around 5 o'clock. Woke up nice and early. We have about 2 miles to the airport. This is probably the easiest day besides the last day on the TCT. The first day is about 10.8 miles, a lot of elevation gain. Today we have just over 8 miles, so should be a nice easy day. We're getting an early start, but yeah, we're gonna leave all of our gear here. We have our duffels, and they provide us 2 coolers, and all we're gonna do is carry our day pack, some water, and some lunch, and they're gonna come a little bit later. They're gonna take all of our gear over to the next spot so we can spend less time in the heat carrying all of our packs and more time just enjoying the hike. Anyway, we're heading out.
So hiking from Blackjack to Little Harbor is mostly downhill, which is really nice. It is a very easy section of the TCT with beautiful views of the coast on both sides before descending into Little Harbor. You can also stop at the airport about 2 miles in and get yourself a snack. The gear hauling company definitely recommended getting a burrito from there. We are taking our first break. It's about 2 miles away from Blackjack Campground. We're at Airport in the Sky. They have a little gift shop, a little restaurant, so I got a popsicle and some Gatorade. You don't have to stop here if you don't want to, but it's a nice shady area and you can get some food if you want. And then along this trail too, we saw tons of bison. So keep your eye out and you might see some wild ones if you are interested in photographing some wildlife.
We've got our first herd of bison sighting. They are over here. Kind of looks like they're next to the trail, so we're gonna see if they're on there because we're gonna have to wait or go around them if that's the case. So if you didn't know, Catalina has a ton of bison out here, so now you know. So we've made it. This other part of the trail, look at all the bison. We're gonna have to figure out how to get around them. Hopefully they're not all blocking the trail, but we don't want to get too close to them. All right, we got a herd Steven's got the wildlife lens on.
Once we left the airport, miles 16 through 18 were all about hiking along the ridge. That was our favorite part of the trail so far. You have amazing views on both sides and it's really easy terrain.
We just passed mile 16. We have our eyes set on our potential camp area. About 3 miles left. The boys are getting some shots in on the adjacent hill over there. We're cruising. We just hit mile 17. We're about 2 more miles to where we're camping. The ultimate best investment for this trip was bringing our rinse kit bottle. Considering the trail is still exposed. Can drink out of it and it's a mister. Oh my gosh, bless. That was so good. All right, so we're mile 18. There's our campsite. It is literally right next to the water. Look at that.
Just got here to camp. Everything is already all set up. We got all of our chairs right here. We're about a 1-minute walk from the beach. We are gonna get all set up and have some lunch. We have made it to Little Harbor. There is this amazing beach here.
It's really beautiful. It's really nice because you have a few more hours before sunset if you get here early. So we just had lunch and now we're gonna go swim.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It took us about 6 hours. We were very, very slow. Stopped a ton, saw some bison, stopped at the airport, but
took a lot of photos.
This is definitely a much easier hike than the first day if you guys are doing the full thing. So perfect spot to enjoy. I would almost say, you guys, if you don't want to do the full TCT, this is a great spot to just come spend the weekend, a long weekend. Come out here and get a campsite and you can stay a couple days.
And I gotta say, miles 17, 18, and 19 have been my favorite so far of the whole TCT. Like, get very nice views of the harbor and it's all flat and downhill, so we love that.
Little Harbor is beautiful because sunset goes down directly in front of it. It had amazing clear water and we had so much fun jumping in the water, diving in. It was very refreshing, even though the water was a little cold because it was so hot outside and we had just finished hiking around 20 miles for the day. We could see directly down at least 30 feet. There were a few fun cliff jumping spots, and if you were there in advance, you could even rent a kayak for the next day. So if you guys are planning on camping there for a few days, we highly recommend doing that and taking them out in the water. That is a wrap on day 2. We just watched sunset. We are here in Little Harbor. Like we said, it is absolutely gorgeous. Wish we could spend like another 2 days here. We can actually have fires here too, so we're gonna cruise back, have some marshmallows, relax for a little bit, and tomorrow is the hardest day on the trail. Also, this whole trip, I have been wearing my cut shirt. They're awesome for hiking, super cozy. I like the long sleeve for the evenings, and I've been wearing their short sleeve for any time that we are hiking or during the day. Right now, they are actually having their Black Friday sale. So if you guys are interested in getting any cut shirts for Christmas presents for your man, or if you're a guy and you're looking for one, they're like my favorite travel hiking shirt. So highly recommend checking out Cuts.
We'll put the link in the description below.
So we're gonna go back to camp, get well rested, excited for tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. We woke up at 5 a.m. this morning to get an early start because today is our 12-mile day on the trail. It is day 3 on the TCT. We got a beautiful sunrise at Little Harbor, and we already did our first set of switchbacks about a half mile in, but we're stopping to take photos because it is beautiful. Upward and onward today. Definitely recommend doing miles 19 and 20 before sunrise. That was brutal. Mile 20 sucks. Literally straight up, no switchbacks. There's been like 4 false summits. That looks miserable, but Steven's stoked. This is the last of the major elevation gain for part 1 of the day, so we get breakfast up there, yeah! Update, mile 22. We summited the other summit just to be bamboozled to go steep and uphill again. It's hot, wear sunscreen, bring hiking poles. But day 3, Steven is calling it the soul crusher because it sucks, but the views are pretty. We just made it to the top of the ridge line. We just did the first 3 or 4 miles of our trek on day 3, mile 20 and 21, guys. brutal. But look at the views.
The view is totally worth it. It was my favorite view of the whole trip. Look this way. You have like the cove where we were, and then you have this epic ridge line. As you get a little bit closer, you're right above the water the whole way. So definitely my favorite section of the trail. Is awesome.
Favorite, but definitely the hardest.
We are going to be cruising downhill now to Two Harbors, which is another spot you can camp, but we are going to keep sending it all the way out to Parsons Landing, which is where we're going to end today. This is day 3 on our Trans Catalina Trail.
Just getting into Two Harbors. Starting to run into some day hikers now. We just arrived in Two Harbors. We're using the bathrooms. That's a really interesting thing about this trail is it's all so close to like the town. So you have access to like refilling water. You have access to actual bathrooms, any stores you need to go. So taking a little break before we cruise on down to Parsons Landing.
The trail from Two Harbors to Lobster Bay Overlook is definitely the hardest part of the trip. It was very exposed, hiking up the steep road that seems to go on forever. We recommend staying in Two Harbors or taking the route along the coast to get to Parsons Landing. Day 3 is almost 12 miles of hiking. When you start in Little Harbor, you have to go up about 1,500 feet of elevation gain, then you drop all the way down to Two Harbors, and then you have to do the same elevation gain about 1,500 feet up. That is where you get to the Lobster Bay Overlook before descending down to Parsons Landing. That part of the trail was definitely the most brutal we've had of the entire trip. We all were pretty wrecked. So we have about 3 miles left until Parsons Landing. I believe we do a little bit more uphill and then we're gonna be cruising down. Apparently it's pretty steep on the way down. So hoping that it is a nice easy rest of the trek. It is about 1 p.m. now and we are up here. We'll see what the rest of the day holds, but at the top of Lobster Bay Overlook, right when the trail splits off, there's this beautiful little overlook. You have this nice shady area, so it's a great spot to stop for lunch if you guys are doing this route.
So the trail from Silver Peak to Parsons Landing is called Fenceline Road, and it's one of the steepest roads we've ever hiked. One of our buddies actually tripped and fell and sprained her ankle because it's that steep going downhill. So be very careful on this section. It's a ton of rocks and dirt and it's pretty slippery and it's not very fun to walk down because it really does squeeze your toes. So we'd really recommend bringing hiking poles or being very careful on the descent. Contrary to popular belief of going slow, it is honestly better to go faster down these sections, like quick stepping, and that way you can catch yourself if you do slip. These are like the steepest hills. So that's why if you were going to do the full TCT, we'd recommend doing it the way they have it in order instead of doing the easy route, the easy like coastal route first and then doing the Silver Peak way second, because these hills are so steep. Like the Silver Peak section was still pretty steep, but at least it was more just like a gradual steep incline. This is almost like straight up. So just be careful on this section of the trail.
We made it here to Parsons Landing. We just got done hiking a little over 12 miles on the way over here. Over 3,000 feet of elevation gain, but totally worth it. The camp spot is on the beach. It is stunning. There are a bunch of beautiful little rock walls out here to protect you from the wind because it does get a little windy on this side. Anyway, tomorrow should be a nice easy day. We have about 7 miles along the coast back to Two Harbors, that is where we're gonna get picked up on our way back to San Pedro, which is how we got over here. So beautiful little day. We're just gonna kick it on the beach for a little bit, get a little fire because you can have fires here on the beach, cook up some grub. Third day out here on the Trans Catalina Trail.
Set up the fire. It is dinner time. What are we making, Steven?
Pasta.
Easy peasy. And maybe s'mores. We have all the s'mores stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Good morning. We just made pancakes, doing dishes from last night. Getting ready for the day. All right, we just packed up camp. It is day 4 on the TCT. We have about 7.7 miles left and very minimal elevation gain, which we are all very stoked about after yesterday. I think the most we do is about 200 to 400 feet of climbing at a time. So very thankful for that after 3,000 feet of elevation gain yesterday. So Parsons Landing overall, beautiful campsite. The one thing about this campsite is there is no potable water here. So you do have to bring or arrange your own water ahead of time. You can arrange it with the ranger station at the beginning of your trail, or at the beginning of the trailhead at the ranger station, and get some like firewood and water delivered to your campsite here. We luckily were using our gear haul with Catalina Backcountry, so they brought all of our extra water for us as well as some extra firewood. So just make note, if you are staying at Parsons Landing, there is no extra water to use, so you do have to be prepared.
The hike from Parsons Landing back to Two Harbors was very, very easy. We did 8 miles in about 3 hours, and we stopped two times along the hike. This section is fantastic because there is a lot of shade, as well it is beautiful. You can look down into the Emerald Bay Boy Scout camp, which had incredible water, as well as many other bays and coves that are inhabited with various clubs and houses. We recommend taking your time on this section and really enjoying it. And like we said earlier, if you don't want to have to go up to Silver Peak, you can always take this section from Two Harbors to get to Parsons Landing, and then take it from Parsons Landing to get back to Two Harbors. If you want to be able to say you did the full TCT, we recommend doing the part to get up to Silver Peak. There is one bathroom between the 8 miles of hiking from Parsons Landing to Two Harbors, so that was really nice, so we could make a little pit stop there. Once we got back, we realized that there are 2 different ferry times. The first ferry leaves from Two Harbors at 11:30 a.m. So since we made such good time hiking from Parsons Landing back to Two Harbors, we did not have to wait until our ferry time, which was going to be at 4:45 p.m. So make sure you take into account what time you want to leave. We suggest, if you guys are pretty fast hikers and you are early risers, you do not need to leave at the later ferry, and you could probably make the 11:30 a.m. ferry to get back to San Pedro.
We did it! We did it!
When we got back to Two Harbors, we immediately jumped in the water after finishing the 38-mile Trans Catalina Trail. We bought some champagne and celebrated on the beach, and then immediately we had to jump on the ferry. Alright, and we have made it on the boat. We had our boat scheduled to go out at 4:15, 4:45 time frame, but if you guys get here early, it only costs $5 to switch your
ferry ticket.
Yeah, so we got lucky. Made it on the boat. We are now on our way back to the mainland. If you guys are looking to do it and aren't super into backpacking or don't have ultra lightweight gear, what we recommend doing is making sure you check out Catalina Backcountry. They are amazing. It's a family-run business, and we collaborated with them on this trip, so it was amazing to be able to hike and enjoy the views without having to hold all of the weight on our backs.
Even as experienced backpackers, it's just a luxury of a trip to have them carry our gear. So thank you, Catalina Backcountry, for making this an awesome trip. And you guys, they even went above and beyond. Our friend Lorena at Catalina Backcountry helped one of our party members back the last 7.5 miles when she sprained her ankle, so she was able to come back safely and not have to hike on that. So they really do care, and they really provide an excellent experience. So we'll link all of their information down below for you guys to check it out if you're interested in doing the TCT.
And if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Every week we put out new adventure videos, itineraries, and things to help you adventure better.
And with that, we will see you on the next adventure.